Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyanam. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna, the ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. We continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 9th Adhyaya of the Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yoga, the supremost science and the supremost secret that Sri Krishna is, exposing before us in this particular 9th Shloka. The 6th Shloka that we read last, where Sri Krishna, he created some confusion in our minds in the 4th and 5th Shloka. In the 4th Shloka, he tells us that all beings dwell in me. Mat-tāni sarva-bhūtāni. Nacha aham teshu avastha. But I am not present in them. I am not in them. All beings are in me. They are dwelling in me. But I am not in them. That is what he had told us in the 4th Shloka. And then again in the 5th Shloka, he just contradicts himself. And he says, Nacha mat-tāni bhūtāni. That no beings dwell in me. Now, he has created this confusion. He has created this dilemma. And in the 4th and 5th Shloka and in the 6th Shloka, he kind of pacifies us. Don't get confused. Don't think I have told you like this and on the another occasion in the next shloka I have told you contradictory. It is not so. And then he gave this example, this beautiful example of how the air pervades this entire space. But we can't feel it. Air is pervading among all the 3 Mahabhutas. Among the Panchamahabhutas, only the 3 Mahabhutas, they cannot pervade the space in totality, in entirety. The earth, the water and fire, they cannot occupy space in totality. They can only occupy till the extent they have that form, they have that volume. Otherwise the entire space is left over only for the air to fill in. Air can fill the entire space, and therefore Sri Krishna told us, Yatha kasha sthito nityam vayuhu sarvatra go mahan. That sarvat mahan vayu, like sarvatra nityam akasha sthito. Constantly that mighty wind, mighty air is all the time occupying this space in totality. It doesn't happen with earth or water or fire, only with the air that occupies this supremost 5th Mahabhuta. Tatha sarvani bhutani mat-tāni iti upadharaya. In the same way, all these beings, they rest in me. They are in me, but you realize it once in a while. You can't realize it all the time. We can realize we filling the space. We can realize things around us filling the space. Okay, this table is here. we can feel that, okay, this table has occupied this much of space. But what about the balance? It is all empty. Now, is it really empty? Is the space unoccupied by the physical objects, is it really empty? No. The air has filled it. The air has occupied that space. The wind has occupied that space. So Sri Krishna says that Vayuhu Akasha Sthito Sarvatra Nityam. Just like that. All these beings, they rest in me. But you cannot perceive all the beings having rested in me. They have occupied my space. You cannot perceive as such. But in reality, yes, they are all within me. But still they are not in me. Because we can't perceive all the other beings which are filling this huge space of the Paramatma. As the mighty wind moving everywhere ever rests in me, the Akasha. Know you that so do all beings rest in me. So finally Sri Krishna has given us some kind of solace, bringing us out of that confusion, out of that dilemma. Now what is the thing like? Well, now we know that as the air occupies this entire space, so do the beings. They rest in this Lord. That is the ultimate truth that Sri Krishna told us in the 6th shloka. Now the 7th shloka that we are going to read today. Sarva-bhūtāni Kaunteya prakṛitiṁ yānti māmikām kalpa-kṣhaye punas tāni kalpādau visṛijāmyaham. Again Sri Krishna is talking the same thing that he told us in the 8th adhyaya of Akshara Brahman, that he had told us about come Brahma's night. The manifest beings, they are unmanifested. They become unmanifest. They are dissolved within the entity of that Akshara Purusha, the Divya Purusha. Akshara Parama Divya Purusha. They just dissolve. And at the commencement of the day, again, all these bodies, all these beings, all these animals, all these plant and animal kingdoms, including the human beings, including all this creation, it just comes forth at the start of the day of Brahma. And here Sri Krishna says, sarva-bhūtāni Kaunteya prakṛitiṁ yānti māmikām. Sarva-bhūtāni, all the beings. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Now here again, see how intelligently Sri Krishna has addressed Arjuna as Kaunteya. He has not addressed here as Parantapa or Partha or Gudakesha or Arjuna. He has addressed him as Kaunteya. Kaunteya is the one born of Kunti, the son of Kunti. Now what does it signify? It signifies that this person, Arjuna, he is a Kaunteya. He has taken birth from the body of Kunti. And sometime he is again going to dissolve. He is again going to shed this body. He has taken birth. He is going to die someday. So that with that particular connotation, Sri Krishna here possibly addresses Arjuna as Kaunteya. Sarva-bhūtāni Kaunteya prakṛitiṁ yānti māmikām. So, O Kaunteya, all beings go in my prakriti at the end of kalpa-kṣhaye. O Kaunteya, all these bhutani, all the sarva-bhūtāni, all these beings, they go back into my prakriti. Prakṛitiṁ yānti māmikām. They again go back to my prakriti. At the end of the kalpa, at the end of the day of the Brahma. One kalpa is day of Brahma. That while discussing the Akshara Brahma Yoga, the 19th Shloka, 18th Shloka, we had calculated based on Sri Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak's calculations of how this day of Brahma is arrived at. It is a gross total, sum total of the 4 yugas. The Krita Yoga, Treta Yoga, Dwapara Yoga, Kali Yoga, and number of earth years, and such 1000 Mahayugas becoming one kalpa. So that is how Sri Tilak, he had calculated one cycle of the day of Brahma as 4.32 billion years, 43.2 lakh earth years. And same is the case with the night. So one kalpa, kalpa-kṣhaye, they dissolve. And this is what exactly the same terminology, the same idea Sri Krishna had told us in that 19th shloka of the Akshara Brahma Yoga. Ratriya game vashaha partha prabhavatyaha ragame. Come night and they get dissolved. Bhutagramaha sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratriya game vashaha partha prabhavatyaha prabhavati aharagame. Aharagame is morning. The moment it is morning, they again come in the manifest form. But come night, kalpa-kṣhaye, sarva-bhūtāni Kaunteya, yānti, māmikām, kalpa-kṣhaye. At the end of the kalpa, at the end of that cycle of 4.32 billion years, 4.32 billion years, the beings, the creation, it gets back into Lord's Prakriti. It gets dissolved. The entire creation is drawn back. Then we don't see any earth, we don't see any moon, any sun, any planets, any galaxy, any stars, nothing. There is no plant kingdom, there is no animal kingdom at the end of the kalpa. When there is a phase of destruction, when there is a phase of pralaya, everything gets back into the fold of that Paramadivya Purusha and the Prakriti. Just vanishes. And then punas tāni kalpādau visṛijāmyaham. And again at the start of the next kalpa, as the day dawns, as the next day of the Brahma dawns after 4.32 billion years, then again this, all the unmanifest, it just comes forth from me. It just starts taking shape, taking form, taking birth. Visṛijāmyaham. So this is what happens. This is the reality which Sri Krishna says is happening in this world, in this universe, in this creation. All beings, O Kaunteya, go into my Prakriti. They get dissolved. They come back into my Prakriti at the end of Kalpa. And then I generate them again. I bring them forth again at the beginning of the next Kalpa. So this is how the Lord's day and night cycle is going on. When Brahma, the creator, goes to sleep, it is the end of a Kalpa. That's the night starts. And like we had discussed with that example where the child is playing with the blocks and creating some kind of structure. Maybe a car, maybe aeroplane, maybe house. Full day the child is busy playing, making all these different forms, creating something. And come night, as it is the time to say good night and go to bed, the child will just break open all that he has created with the blocks. He will just remove everything. Then we won't see any of the shapes that he had created, whether it was car, whether it was truck, whether it was house, or whether it was some fort, using those building blocks, everything is scattered back as it was at the time of starting the play. So, when Brahma, the creator, goes to sleep, it is the end of Kalpa, extending into 1,000 yugas. The Mahayugas of these 4 yugas clubbed together, and 1,000 such yugas. It works into an incalculable crores of years of the human standard. Naturally, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak has done all that mathematical calculation based on his astronomical calculations, astrological calculations, and he had arrived at that figure of some 43.2 lakh years. Then the entire manifestation goes into unmanifest state. Everything is dissolved. There is no separate entity of the earth, water, fire, air, space. Everything is just, it gets back into its original form, into its original entity, into the ultimate entity. All these Panchamahabhutas, which have created otherwise this creation. Then the entire manifestation goes into unmanifest state and remains dormant for an equally long period, which is Brahma's night. Then everybody is saying good night, sweet dreams, and sleep tight. Everything is sleeping so tightly. There is no action, there is no coming forth. It is just a vacuum. And then when the Lord wakes up again, when another kalpa starts, the universe with the multitudinous beings comes into manifestation. This is the eternal process. Now this is Sri Krishna has actually, once again, what he told us in Akshara Brahma, he again is reiterating the same fact. This is what is happening. I am withdrawing everything and I am bringing forth back again the same things in maybe different forms or whatever. But the creation, it goes on like this. It dissolves at night and it springs forth, again comes back at the start of another kalpa. So this is Sri Krishna's teaching to us in this 7th shloka of the Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yoga, the 9th adhyaya. Next we will see what Sri Krishna further has to tell about this recreation and redissolution and recreation. So till then, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swami.